This movement, this motion, he brings down heat. It's happy against the birth of the Shem. Main heat of the Yesod of Eish, because it receives the motion of Kechavim, the stars. Because before Yesod is Eish Ruach Mayim Afor, so the Yesod of Eish is the top one. It's higher than the Yesod of Avir of air. It's almost like a galvan. It's closer to the stars, the galaxies. Each galgal, each round, each cycle in heaven receives in the cycle that is above it. Therefore, by being mastikadam, meaning that either he brings the people closer to Hashem, he makes them become tzadikim, or so because he joins them with kafsus, he becomes mastikadam, so it's called being mastikadam. This also he brings down minus in Islam and heat Hashem Yisborach. These who are mastikadam are just like the stars. When they come on the Chachamim, they say, he receives the heat from that which is above it, like the star receives from that which is above them. Then he can give this heat to others, like the stars do, they receive from above and give below, to the Eish below. But the person doesn't receive the Chachamim from above. Even though he does bring heat to another person below him, then it's only temporary. He himself becomes cooled off because he doesn't receive heat from above. Like iron, metal that was heated up to a fiery heat, when you throw it into cold water, the metal itself becomes cooled off immediately after a certain period of time. Even the water that's heated up is also temporary. Rosenfeld says, beloved of Islam, at beginning of the paragraph, what's written in order, the other person is named. Explained at length. The movement of the mind brings heat to the heart. The holy das, making holy and zionated. The Shiva Konei Hamnoida, which means the mouth, the two nostrils, the two eyes, and the ears, which you call the Shiva Konei Hamnoida, being Mekadesh, making them holy. This is there to becoming heated up his heart to Hashem. And it will explain that a person can have the Shefa Lekai, that his heart becomes heated up through his Kiddushas Zionedis. Then you have the flame comes up from the heart by itself. The fact that his heart becomes a slave and enthused with a fire is there to drive out the Ruach Tumah, the Ruach Shtus, the Ruach Haravelis, because the fire drives out the air, the evil air. Because of this, he purifies his heart. And then the fact that his heart is pure, then he is to speak new words of hisbodedus every time that he is responded to Hashem. They are exact. They are bechina mamash of Ruach HaKodesh. I'll be zecher to a purification of the heart through being mekadesh the Shiva Konei Hamnoida, the organs of the Hamnoida. And then the Ruach Nosson I'll have this Ruach HaKodesh within me, which will enable me to be able to mekadesh always new words for hisbodedus. Baruch Hashem. If a person only attaches himself to the words of the come from the mouth and the tzadik, tamoni, I wonder how it is possible for a person then to be able to bear the desire, the life of Elam Hazeh, the Gashmias. The Mishnah called one who has enough and Divinity comes from the tzaddik. He actually takes us a life out of this world. He has no desire whatsoever for anything Gashmias in this world. We hope and understand very carefully how this is explained clearly in that Mishnah, and what a lesson we can take out of it, how a person can be battle himself in this world by listening carefully to the words of the Torah that come from the tzaddik. Baruch Hashem. Benedel says, Kamal B'nai Odom Sipru, there are many people who told Shiro, at the time they saw Eish Boya Meidachlik, a flame burning from a distance. The Kabul was shown, they came close to the place where they saw it, but there was nothing there. Many times too, such a thing is seen on the road. The Gam al Hayam and at times also on the sea. such sights and mirages are seen. Is already known. This is caused by the vapors that rise from the earth. Yesh edim, there are vapors. They have the power of sulfur in them. The olam eza edim, the group of these vapors go up. And they combine together. And a cold wind comes down and beats upon it from above. And these vapors then fall down below. And they begin to burn for a moment. So too, there are also such kind of people. At time his heart begins to burn to Hashem. It begins in Avodas Hashem. After a while, this heat within him becomes bottle. He goes back to his former status. He becomes cool again. At times his heat lasts for a half a day, or a number of days, or some weeks. But not for always. But not for a long time. The reason is that this comes because of it, this lavas within them comes because of the shoyim. I know because of the shoyim who are filled with regret for their evil deeds. And these regrets, these bits of tshuva, they gather together. They come to one certain person. It could be mispat hacharotas when according to the number of these charotas that come to this person, according to the total amount of tshuva that arrives at this person, these are the shoyim, kenimshach hazman, so too is the dependent the time that lasts, that his heart burns to Hashem. Because of these charotas, so his heart suddenly becomes inflamed and enthused to Hashem. Not each person is equal in this case. There are some people that the Islam doesn't come because these charotas of the shoyim. Like in Moharan, he goes from a different place, or a different reason he gets his Islam from. But there are such cases too, and there are other cases. Baruch Hashem. Likutey Maran Torah Kuf Nun Tes. Rabbi Nachman says, you should know that there is a middle agent. Vehi HaShechina. This is the Shechina itself. Shehi Emtsoi Bein Bnei Adam Aveshin is Bona Kaviyachah. The Shechina is the agent that acts between people and between Hashem Kaviyachah. The other one, it is known Sheyesh Chiluk Bein Limud HaTorah. There's a difference in the learning of Torah. Shalai Kol Adam V'Adam Le'em B'china Achas. Not every person learns in the same B'china. The person who's there to learn for the Shechina, meaning Sheimuda. Shechina, that is Limud. The learning goes up to the Shechina. Azai HaShechina Mekabelas Halimud HaTorah U'mal Hashem Yisborach. And the Shechina receives this limud of Torah and brings it to Hashem. Then Shaf Mizeh Shefa. From the fact that it brings it to Hashem, from this in return it is drawn Shefa that is brought down. Shefa Ruchnis or Shefa Gashmis. There are two kinds of Shefa that are caused by this learning. One is Shefa Ruchnis that goes upwards, and the other is Shefa Gashmis that comes down. Kibiyat Torah Yesh Eish Umayim, and the Torah there's a combination of Eish and Mayim, fire that goes up and Mayim that comes down. When the Shechina, which is the Emtsoi, Mikabelas HaTorah receives the Torah, Azai Oile Koyach or Eish Lamala, and the Koyach, the power of Eish in the Torah goes upwards. And then Shaf Mimenu Shefa Lamala, and there is drawn from this limud of Torah, from this Eish, there is drawn Shefa for those above, Shefa for heaven. L'chol ha'ilomais, l'chol ha'malachim musafim. There is Shefa for the Ilomais al-Yedim, and for the Malachim musafim. V'zehu Shefa Ruchnis, this is meant by the Shefa Ruchnis, it's the Eish. Koyach HaMayim, the second Koyach in the Torah, the Koyach HaMayim, Na'aseh Mizeh Shefa Gashmius, and this is created Shefa Gashmius. The Yerid L'zeh Ha'ilom, this comes down to the world. Zehu B'china Yemin U'Smael Sheyesh B'Yad Torah. This is B'china of Yemin U'Smael. Hainu Eirach Yamin B'Yamino V'Smael O'Esha V'Chomayt. It says by the Torah that there is Eirichas Yamin B'Yamin in the right. To the left there is O'Esha and Kovay. These are the two Shefas. Eirach Yamin Hu Li'Olam Shekulei Orach. Eirach Yamin means not just long life, but it means to the world that is eternally long. Misham Rahazal, the was in the Kedushin. The Yamin means for Gan Eden, for heaven. You'll B'chinat Shefa Nuchni is And this Eidach Yamim, the Yamin, is the Shefa Nuchnis in the Torah. Shul Bechinas Yamin. This is the Bechina of Yamin in the Torah. This is Shefa, the Elam Shekul Yorach. This Shefa is for the heavenly world, which is Kul Yorach. Shem Elam Esayonim. This is the heavenly worlds. The Eishev Kavod B'Smaila. Shu Shefa Gashmius. This is Shefa Gashmius. Shul Bechinas Smaila. That's the left. And these are the two Shefas which are found through the limit of Torah, which are given to the Shechina. The Shechina is Mala, the first Shefa Lamala, and it brings down in Mayim the second Shefa Lamata. Like Adam Zecher Lezeh, not every person Zecher to the Shehi Limuda Ela Lehashchina. That is limit to go to the Shechina. Kilazet Tzara Shehi Adam Yaakov. This Yaakov, the person, is a very high in Madrega. The Shehi Limuda not Lehashchina. And this limit should be for the sake of the Shechina. Finally, Ukma Shchinta Me Afra. To be able to Ma the Shechina Me Afra. Take the Shechina out of Golas. Like Adam Zecher Limud Zeh. Not every person has such type of learning. The Afin learned the Yiddish Shemayim, even if a person learns the Yiddish Shemayim. Even if he says the Fedish, he's learning for the sake of being mal and the Shechina Me'afra. And calls despite this who knows if this person is fit for the this type of learning that should be for the sake of the Shechina. When his name does not go up to the Shechina, when it doesn't reach the Shechina, when the Torah goes up, and it's impossible for the Torah to reach this original place above because the Shechina doesn't bring it up. The Teva, the Teva, the Torah is, it's Luchnius, the Teva, nature is to raise itself, to elevate itself, to go up. In the midst, there comes the night, which means the time when the Mazikim are Shelit, and they rule, and the Klippas are Shelit. The Azai Yitzim Kol Garadina Nimusim. The Zayde Kodesh says that these Garadina Nimusim means the Chayolis, the heavenly Chayolis, which are Shelit over all Dinim, they rule and Dan, they judge those who are Avik, all the Dinim and Nimusim, the Das, religion. And the later Zayde Kodesh, the Nimusim come out to bring punishment. They makim oleha, and they beat down on these words of Torah that come up when they fell as lamata. These words fall back down, and they become spread, they scatter out below to all people in the world. Everyone in the world derives its life from the air. They draw on the air to breathe it. They all breathe in this Torah that was scattered below in the air, either while they're awake or during the sleep. According to the type of person that he is, to whom this Torah reaches, that's what happens to him. Adam kosher Yerushalmi if it because Adam kosher Yerushalmi Adam Godel the tzadik, or Adam a great person or tzadik. When they received these words of Torah that became scattered below, as I now say, Tal Torah. From these words that becomes created in him, Tal Torah, the dew of Torah. This Tal is life-giving dew. And he receives in this a new hisaydus, he is aroused anew with a desire for Torah. All according to the Madrega of the person who receives this Tal. By some people, this from these words of Torah, it becomes Chidusha Torah. I mean, they have Chidusha with the Torah itself. Because when they receive so many people, their words of Torah that were scattered, so then these become new combinations, Chidushim, and he makes them Chidushim Torah. Yuchal Hasig Hasagas Mizer Chidushim Neraisa. This he means Masig Nu Hasagas and Chidushim Torah. Like Tanem Mishael Yachol Nehasig L'Chadish. Tanem, people who are small, haven't got the Mayat to be Masig, to be the Chadish, to the Torah. Magia L'Hem Mizeh, Hisaydus Chodesh L'Cheshik Nimras Le'Atayas. So for them at least, to them they receive a new hisaydus and a strong desire for the learning of Torah. Gam came Bechina as Chidushim, which is also Bechina of Chidushim. It's renewed. It's Chadish HaCheshik V'Hisaydus as light. Of him there is renewed this strong desire and the awakening within him to learn. This is only when the Torah reach the people who are kosher and who are fit. But when these words of Torah reach people who are not kosher, as I not say, but this the opposite comes out from this. From these taitas, they come instead of tal itis, tal taita. There's instead the word tal turned the other way around. It becomes lamites malachas, 39 malachas. Shemagia loy aded abed. Instead, that reaches to him cheshik nimros v'hisariris chodesh v'yigiyas v'tirchas v'yavedas elmazeh. He gets a new arousing, a new desire to struggle, to work, and the Vedas, the locha of this world. Which is exactly the opposite of tal teda, do of teda. 39 acts of work. By the sweat of your brow, you should eat bread. It means a desire for manual labor. This is the bechina of Yemin of that's found in the teda. That by these words of Torah reach another kosher, so from this there is formed the tal Torah. And the Bechinas Yemin, the Yemin is tal Torah. Well, the Hepach Nasa Lamates Malacha is the Bechinas Smile. If it's turned left, was the opposite. Tal is Geseda, and Lamates is Shleikeseda. That means Smile. There's the opposite, this Lamates Malacha reaches the Bechinas Smile. Keep believing with that Torah, Ha'oila Lehashchina, Nasa Meha Yemin, Smile, Ve'esh Umayim, Shavuruchnis, Shavagashmias. Of course, in the limit of Torah, which does reach the Shechina, so from this Yemin, Smile, Eish Umayim, there is created Shavuruchnis and Shavagashmias. But the Bezeh Halim, which Eliyach Lalei Salah Shechina Kanal, this Pazi the Adi Kanal, but from this limit, which cannot reach the Shechina, instead is scattered in the air, Nasa Meha Yemin, Smile, Meha Eish Umayim, Tal, Eilametes Malachis. This right and left, the Minas Smile and Torah, there is formed either Tal, do for the kshedim, or lamates malachos, the desire for working by the sweat of their brow, by those who are not kosher. According to the quality of those who receive the Torah. This thing can be seen in Gashmias, actually. When a person learns, a person learns, you can see that there is air and vapors come from his mouth. Even if at times he doesn't leave out any words from his mouth, I'll call it the time when he sits on the sefer and he looks into it, he studies it, so air and vapor comes out from this person. From this vapor there is dampness and heat, as is known by nature. And these vapors that come out, the category of fire and water, when they cannot go up to the place that they are supposed to the Shechina, the Azai Balayla Makeh Aleim at night, these Gavdina Nimusim beat down upon them, these Gavdina Nimusim, Shietzim Balayla Canal, these Ruchais, Shalmalo, the Mazikim, the Ruchais Shalmalo come down at night, when they are shevet, when they beat down on these words of Torah, and the Spazim Bi'aveh, they are scattered in the air, and the people draw from this air. Each one draws from the kachas of that was scattered in the air. We find too that tal, do begashmias also has two powers. Good and bad, to either kill or to give life. This is also, this tal, the Gashmias tal, is also created from the vapors that rise up from the ground. At night, the Gashmias is also there as a coldness of air from above. This cold air from above beats down on these vapors that come up, and these vapors fall down below. Tal. And these vapors there is formed this dew that we have in the morning. This dew is the life of all things that grow, vegetation. This dew that comes in the morning, vegetation gives life to them. And animals that eat from these fruits, these vegetables, this vegetation has dew on it, they become fattened, they become healthy from this. There are kinds of living beings, but to them the dew is very harmful. Also, human beings who eat from this dew, it hurts them, it harms them. Like there's a plague or different types of diseases or sicknesses that come because of this eating it as dew by human beings. So you see that dew begashmius, there are two powers in the dew, one that gives death and one that gives life. So too, for these Titus that are learned, and they rise upwards and they're beaten back down, they are in the same category of Tal, Shein Mamash Mechinas HaTal HaGashmi, Nasa Mizeh, Tal, so this too is form Tal. Enough needs to take a Tal. So they can be Enkel Bon Canal, and they can go, then the Tal is Tal Taida, and the Rishon Hashem is Lamates Malachis. So we see that by Taida there's the same two categories as are found in the Tal of Gashmis. Rosenfeld says, Achar She'oma Taida Hazais, after Rabbi Arizal said this Taida, Ono the Omar Rabbi Arizal said, Avolei Motzosi Mikra or Eze Mamina Rabbi Arizal, I did not find a posek or any Mamina the Gemara, then said by the Vodam able to find these words in the words of the Chumash, in Tanakh, or in the Gemara. I couldn't find any Maimah to apply this Torah to. Arizal said, Efshe Yumtza Echad, Sheyuchal Nimtzai Devorim Elu Be'ezeh Mikra Imam Arizal. Perhaps in the future, there will come a person, will be found a person who will be able to find these words in some posek or in some Gemara. Perhaps in the future there will be a person like that who could apply these words to the posek in the Gemara. So far I couldn't do it. His kiruv, as Arizal mentioned then, Masham Rabbi Yeshua, the Gemara says in Saita, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, there will be a generation, there will come a generation when they will want to say that Kika Sheni cannot be Metame Kika Shlishi. And the Klicheres, if there's a Kika, which is a Sheni L'Tumah, a loaf of bread which is a Sheni L'Tumah, receive the Tumah the second time down, the second Madrega of Tumah, if this Kika, this loaf of bread touches another Kika, it will not make that other Kika a Shlishi L'Tumah. Why? Because I haven't got a posek to show. I know that the Kika Sheni must make the Shlishi Tomei also, but I haven't got a posek to show. So Yeshua said, Masham Rabbi Yeshua, Mi Gale Ofor Me'inech Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who will take away the earth from your eyes, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, because that is a stalkus. You should be able to see. You said, Osid Doirechot, will come a generation that will want to be Metaher, the Kika Shlishi, become a generation where they will say that Kika Shlishi is Torah because there's no posek in the Torah, Halei Akiva, it will not be tied as Kika Shlish, Amen, because there's no posek in the Torah to make it Tomei, Halei Akiva Talmidecha, mentioned the Mikra Torah, and Akiva your Talmud has found the posek in the Torah, but it says, Kol Hashem B'Sleicha Yitmo. Everything in the Klicheres is Yitmo. The Akiva doesn't say Kol Hashem B'Sleicha Tomei. The Klicheres is a Risha L'Tumah. Because the Klicheres was touched by the Sheretz. The Sheretz is an Aharon Tumah. The Klicheres was the first one to receive the Tumah. The Kikar in the Klicheres is loaf of bread. The Klicheres becomes the Sheni the Tumah. It's second to the Klicheres. So the Kikar is the Sheni the Tumah. And it doesn't say Kol Hashem B'Sleicha Tomei. That whatever is in the Klicheres, the Kikar, the Sheni the Tumah is Tomei. It says Yitmo. Yitmo means Yitame. It can be Yitame, another one. That if this Sheni the Tumah will touch another kikar, it'll make the other kikar tomei. So the Akiva has found a posek to show your din, that a kikar sheni can make a shlishi. The posek is tonight that the sheni l'tumah can make a shlishi l'tumah. So we see from here that the Yeshua said that Yaakov Zakkai had a din, he couldn't find the posek in the time to bring proof to his din, but the Osid Lovai, the Akiva, his Talmud, is the one who found the posek in the time to show. Rabbi Nachman said too, present I cannot find the posek around the Chazal to show these words in that posek of Chazal, but perhaps in some future day there will come a Talmud who will bring out all these words that I said, and will find a posek of Chazal to prove these words. We'll find these words in the posek of Chazal. In the Likutey Halachis, Cheshem Mishpat Tilach Neked Mempi Halacha Gimel, Rav Nosson takes his whole Torah into the first kapitel of Tehillim, Ashrei Ha'ish. But he doesn't mention this last paragraph of Rabbi Arizal's words about the Efshiyim Tzedechad. Baruch Hashem. Kutei Mayan Teire Kuf Samach. Rabbi Arizal says, Deifek the Nekesh Bi Odam. The pulse keeps on beating within a person. At times the pulse beats in a person and reminds him to Avodas Hashem. And the China is Kol Deidi Deifek. The Kol of Deidi, the Kedusha is Deifek, beats within me. Times Chas Hashem, so the the pulse beats in a manner to remind him to bring him to an Aveda Chas V'Sholom. Because the pulse comes from the breath of a person. From the breath comes from the air through the person's speech. And according to the person's speech, that's how the pulse acts, either for good or the opposite, according to the person's speech. Baruch Hashem. Likutey Teira Kuf Samach Aleph. Benadol says Machlekes Magdiha Umeidim Es Adam. Machlekes, argument against the person, is that which raises him and elevates him. Ki Adam Eitz HaSoda, because the posek says that the Adam is Eitz HaSoda. The person is like a tree. Actually, the posek is speaking about something else, but from these words alone, we can touch it that a person is similar to a tree. There are many pshatim in this posek. Now, the nature of a tree that is lying in the ground, it cannot raise itself at all. Unless there is a flood of water that comes upon this tree, and the waters raise and elevate, they pick up this tree. Machlekes is also called water. He surrounded me like waters, completely surrounded me. Together the people who argue against me. So we see that Machlekes is mayim. And since a person is like a tree, and just as waters elevate and raise a tree, so too Machlekes, which is waters, can also elevate and raise a person to a higher madrega. Baruch Hashem. Likutey Teira Kuf Samach Beis. Benadol says the Meha Magidzel. The time the Mazitcha Magidzel, Hoya Ish Oshir Miyuchos. There was a very wealthy man who had a lot of yichus. He came from an important family. The Hoya Misnagi Li Anshe HaMagid. He was misnagid against the Talmidim of the Magidzel. The Sipru Lo Yanosho of Mizeho Ish. The Talmidim of the Magidzel told the Magidzel about this man. The Amalahem, and he told them, Sheyiru Lekari V'Seilam. You should see to it to bring this man close to him. To work very hard for this cause. Hashem should help them to bring this man close to the Magidzel. And this they did. Hashem helped them. They brought this person to the Magidzel. And now say Ish Koshi Yirei Shamayim. This person became Ish Koshi Yirei Shamayim. He elevated himself. He became a perfect Talmud of the Magidzel. But he began to lose his wealth. He began to become poor. Magidzel said, these two things cannot exist in one place. Torah and wealth. Because if a person wants to become wise, true wisdom of Torah, you have to follow to Dorim. In Dorim there is wisdom. If he wants to become rich, he should follow to Tzofim, the Midah of Tzofim. So we see that these are two direct opposites. Wisdom and wealth are two direct opposites, just as far as Dorim is to Tzofim. If a person wants to become wise, he stays in Dorim, direction of Dorim. Since he is in Dorim, he cannot become rich. If he is in Dorim, he is not in the north, and wealth is in the north. He's in the opposite place, so he can't get to the wealth. The way around too. He wants to become rich, he has to stand in Tzofim, and if he's in Tzofim, he is not in Dorim where wisdom is. So we can have either one of the two and not both. Unless but if he is betachlis ha'anivus, the tachlis of modesty, where he considers himself literally nothing, non-existent. He doesn't stand in any direction. He's neither north or south. He's in no direction at all. You can't say this person is north or south. Since he is nothing. Since he is nothing, he is in no direction at all. Then it is possible they should have both Torah and Gedula. You find Moshe Feinstein was a Chacham and Oshir. And Beinai Kodesh was also the Nasi, and also he was the biggest Oshir at that time. Because Moshe Feinstein and Beinai Kodesh are both known for the Tachlis of Anivus. So a person who is tachas of anivus, he's a bechinas ayim ve'efes, that person is not confined to himself in a dorim. That person can have both tedek du v'mokem echad. Baruch Hashem. Likutey Moharan tedek kus samach gimel. Benel says, at times, munach hadibur amuchavatzes, the dibur, the words of a person are lying and prepared to go out, prepared to leave the person. Yet the words don't come out through the mouth, they come out through the back, the rear, the back of the neck. It's actually possible to hear many times where the dibur, the words do not come out from the mouth, but through the back of the neck. The sound is different. It's a deep sound, not coming out naturally. Ki shalish klipos. Menachem says the reason is because there are 3 klipos. Klipos reitzim tomid lispos hadibur liatzmo. These 3 klipos always want to capture the words of a Jew to let them kadeshim for themselves. Especially dibur kodesh from a great person. Because by these 3 klipos, all the diburim are nice and valuable. They want to capture them. Certainly when the dibur has a real beauty, it doesn't need a stick of beauty, and they surely want to capture it. Because the proof is that the Mitzrayim Egyptians who are all dark-skinned, black, even if Sarah wasn't such a Yefastaya, it would also be considered very important in their eyes. The dibur is also a bechina of Sarah for each one. Sarah means the power of ruling. The person whose power of ruling is over an entire nation. The Gemara says first she was called Sorai, and then she was called Sarah. Different types of ruling power. Sorai because she ruled over a nation. Sarah when she ruled over the whole world. The person who rules over a nation. And with his words, you can rule over, you can command over an entire city or a land. There's one person who has power, ruling power over the entire world. There's one person who rules at least over his own home. But by these 3 klipos, who are in the bechina of Mitzrayim, who are all dark and low, a very low category, every dibur by them is valuable and they want to capture it. These 3 klipos, heim sad ha'ifim, v'sad ha'mashkim, v'sad ha'tabochim. Sheheim tam v'sachilo v'shtiyah. These 3 klipos they call the sad ha'ifim, the 3 sodim in Mitzrayim, the sad over the baking, sad over the drinks, the wine of Padai, sad ha'tabochim over the food, the meat. These mean, the klipos mean the taivas achilo shtiyah. Padai, who I see is ha'idif. The word padai has the same letters as ha'idif, the back of the neck. Meaning, sha'im made a chayde ha'kedusha. He stands behind the kedusha. The klipos are always behind the kedusha, and the yonik from the kedusha. Take it, sha'im ha'gimel sodom hanal, sha'im sodei padai. Meaning, when these 3 sodom, who are called the sodei padai, when they see a sodom, Shehu hadibur, they see Sarah, which means a dibur, because dibur is the one that rules. Then it appears nice in their eyes, desirable, and they capture this dibur for the sake of padai, which means for the sake of the oidif. They bring it to the back of the neck. But because of the yidu oiso sorei padai, by a halal oiso padai. When the sorei padai saw Sarah, so they took her immediately, they praised her to padai, they wanted to have padai. These 3 sodim are the kone, the trachea, the windpipe, the esophagus, the tube where the food goes down, and the veriden, the veins in the neck. And they capture the dibur for the sake of the back of the neck, for achayde hakdusha, behind the kedusha. These 3 sodim are close to the kone, veishet, the veriden, are close to the heimoit sois apeh. The 5 types of speech. And they are called Achar Hadvorim. Achar Hadvorim, the Benel says in the Torah, that means they're behind the dibur, the Achaydi Hakdush of the dibur, and they capture the dibur. They bring it down to Mitzrayim, and Benel says that, to the narrow part of the throat, where it's put into Golos. That's Golos Mitzrayim. והנה כשהדיבור הוא דיבור הקודש בחינת סורה שהויה שכינה עמו. Now when the dibur is in itself a dibur kodesh, in the category of sora, where the shechina was with sora, the shechina protected sora, protected the dibur. Av shehoya tzar li Avraham mi'od mi'od b'yeshanukacho, although it hurt Avraham very much when she was taken. Him kol ze yodal botach ba'Hashem shu teiva gedola shnispaso Hashem. Still he had the tochen that it was a very big teiva, some good would come out of it. The fact that she was captured there in Mitzrayim. Shenasa mizeh nachas godel Hashem yizborach. That from this there came a very big nachas for Hashem. Shehu bechinas eis asher sholat ha'odom ba'odom l'naloi. This is the bechina where at the time that one person rules over a second person, and it does harm for the ruler. That the person who does the ruling, that he does himself harm by ruling. So here, when they took Sarah, they ruled over Sarah. Apparently, it was for their bad. Shalokta misham nitzuta zakdation ki do it. When they took Sarah, it was for their harm, because she took from them, she gathered them all into zakdation that would bury them among them. That's in the case where the dibur is Sarah, where the shechina is with her. The dibur is real, a high kedusha. Avol in who dibur poshet chas hashem. But the dibur is an ordinary dibur that comes to an ordinary person. Efshe she is pesoi say l'sham. It's possible they should capture the dibur to Mitzrayim, to Paret, to the Oideh. Kimat chas v'sholem yishtak Hashem. Chas v'sholem may be completely be sunken in there. And why should Yovei tzadik emes sheyesh like kayach leitziyah v'shom? Unless a tzadik emes comes, there has the power to take out the dibur from there, like Sarah took out the anticipation who was sunken in there. The others were there. V'yesh odom shenasa mikuloi umimenu dibur. There's a person from whom the entire person becomes diburim. This person himself becomes dibur. How shenasa sicha b'thiyah briyos. That this person becomes a sicha in the mouths of people. They speak about him. Yaakov Beveli Menu. They speak about him. And this whole person is spoken about. So this person becomes Bechinas Dibur. Ihu Halech Nova Nod Mispazabeti Kulam. He goes, he wanders from different places, and he becomes scattered in the mouths of all these people. The Eitzel Kol Echad V'Yechad Shebol Hashem. Each person where he falls into their mouth, where they speak about him, Yeshloi Inuyim V'Tzores Mishunes. He has various types of suffering and tzores from them. Because each person has his own bechinas paret, his own eidef, his own acharat voref, his own klipos that are unique from the dibur. If he comes into the mouth of a great person, Shom Parei Melech, there Parei is a king, Mitzrayim Medina, and Mitzrayim is a land. The Gimel Sodom, these three Sodom, Av Kishein Teisam Hadibah V'Neifel Alehem Tzalim Yoyim. Although this is a matter of royalty, still when these three Sodom capture the dibur and he falls into their hands, then he suffers a lot through it. Still, in Kol Zeh Yesh Lo Neicha, still he has pleasure. She'ef Shemanim Tzay Shom Nitutz Vagdation Yiyeh Teva Mizeh. So still there is a pleasure that because to be able to find intimidation will be something good will come out for him. If he falls into the mouth of a great person, this person will be able to take out the intimidation from this dibur. But when he falls into the mouths of low people, there when the dibur is captured by the oidef, by the parei, which means the oidef, and he falls there, so it's a case not of a land that has settled, but a case like a desert without any civilization in it. No one come to meet there. Tsar umar miyoid. The formless land is very bitter. Hanefesh haleches no v'nodo v'zpazeres and pizar nefesh. If he come on ocean, this nefesh goes, wanders, and is scattered in the mouths of many people. And he is tired and hungry and thirsty in this desert. There is no food to pacify, to satisfy this hungry and thirsty nefesh. Because it's lost in the mouths of this nefesh, this dibur. Nefesh is dibur. This dibur, and this person now became dibur. So maybe this person falls into the mouths of people where there is no kedusha. Maybe it's like he has become lost in a midbash mama, in a desolated spot, a desert. And there, so the nefesh becomes very tired, and there's nothing of any food for itself, there's no mozain to supply to this nefesh of any food or drink. The nefesh is tired, hungry, and thirsty, so what alternative does the nefesh have? So So the nefesh has to actually to exist. It has to eat itself. The bechinas ish oso zreya yechlo. It occurs that the person will, because of hunger, will eat his own arms, the meat of his own arms. We continue in the case of, for example, how ish should go by all of hakridus miyai. For example, a person who became very cold. The weather is very extremely cold. Doesn't have any cover to warm himself or to wrap himself around in. So he doubles himself over. He wraps himself around with his own arms. And he shrinks within himself in order to get warm. So to the nefesh has no cover to wrap itself around to cover itself. The souls, they wrap with themselves. The soul wraps itself in itself. It wraps itself around from its own substance. The nefesh wraps itself around with its own nefesh. The whole kachnis alpha becomes so weak and so tired that if you give this nefesh some food, it cannot even receive this food. It can't digest it anymore. Like a sick person who is lying in a sick bed for a long time, it becomes so weakened, he can't take any food anymore. Even when they give him food, they feed him, he gives it back, he can't receive it. What can we do? We brought this upon ourselves. Because we refused to listen to the Eitzes Torah that Hashem gave us in the Torah. The pasuk says, "Kipono Eli Oidev V'Lei Ponon." Hashem says that we turned our Oidev to Him instead of the Ponon, which means we turned our back, we refused to listen to Him. Then the second trouble for the nefesh is first in the Midbar Shloma. The second trouble is that it finds itself bound in a prison. Kinis Pasen Es Hashem. That is captured and tied there. At times, so the nefesh is thrown upwards towards heaven. Then it's thrown back below. Because the rise up was not in order. Only not that it went up gradually, it was thrown upwards. Therefore, it was thrown back downwards. Third case, it's brought in the Mizmor of the Dalet Zeich and the Haidus, where the person traveled on the sea, and the sea was so stormy that the waves carried way up the Yalo Shemayim. It's a term used like the waves went up to heaven. Yerushalmi went down to the depth of the sea. These are the troubles that the nefesh finds itself in. Shemizponach Yishmach Nefuas HaNefesh. Yishmach is sent us a refuah for the nefesh. Tachnu Sh'yihi Yaakov Nochain. If we talk that all will turn out right, that our end will be good, Hashem will do good for us in the end. Amen. Rosenfeld says, Kol zeh shamati mipiv HaKodesh. All this I heard from Rabbi Nachman himself. Afterwards, when he saw these things in writing by me, he said, he said, I did not write these things correctly, as I should have. Yomar, he said, these things are bound, are connected with what the Gemara says, Dalat Tzrichim Lachides, 4 who have to bench camel, Shehem V'Odam B'Mizmor Kuf Zayin, they're clearly detailed in Mizmor 107 and Tillim. As can be seen and understood to the Arizal's words, Shekol Dalat Hanal, all these 4, Shehem, Helchim, and Boros, people who go in the desert, Vachamushim, Reveis HaSurim, and who are tied and bound in prison, Vachele, one who was sick, V'yerde Hayam, and others travel on the sea, the Kalman Amis, Al Tzoros HaNefesh, V'veil Yabi, and Tzoros HaNefesh. This Mizmor hints to the fact that these 4 don't mean a person who actually, the Guf, the Gashmias, has to go through the suffering. But it speaks about the Nefesh that goes through the Tzoros. Shailechas Noah, the Nefesh goes out wandering and lost. Oyev tired, but not even hungry, but somebody and thirsty, but midbar in the desert. Zeh bechinas tohu b'midbar. But the Mizmor says that they were lost in the desert. The Chaim and Daran Me'ir Cheli HaNefesh. And also the Mizmor speaks about the sickness of the Nefesh. And Kol Kachnis Alpha became so weakened, Ad Asher Afilu Im Neisum Advar Michael, even Bamachla, so it can't receive it. As the posek says, they call Echel to Sayiv Nashum. The nefesh despises the food; it can't take it. It speaks there also about the chayla, the sickness of the nefesh. It speaks to about one who's in prison, where again the nefesh is imprisoned. It cannot be released. As I mentioned, these stuff which speaks about those that go down to the sea, and they have the gashmi taking trouble on the sea. Here too, the nefesh also is thrown upwards and down. Arizal's kavona is clear. Shemenami is all hadalat tzich in the haydei. So inyan tzoras hanefesh avodas Hashem. But this dalat tzich avodas speaks about actually a case of tzoras hanefesh. The nefesh goes into avodas Hashem. The tzoras that it has, sheyesh aleha machlekes rabin. There's a lot of machlekes that come to this person. And Abim come aleha, and then he rise up against his nefesh. We say velas iluyim v'yisurim. The nefesh suffers a lot of pain and suffering. It's tiltulim, gedalim, and it's moved about, tossed about, and tzores, meshunes, and different types of tzores, kanalas is mentioned in the title. And Abim come aleha, and then he rise up against his nefesh. We say velas iluyim v'yisurim. The nefesh suffers a lot of pain and suffering. It's tiltulim, gedalim, and it's moved about, tossed about, and tzores, meshunes, and different types of tzores, kanalas is mentioned in the title. Shekisporach matzilay sa b'chol pam mikol tzores, and Hashem stays the nefesh each time for these tzores. Yalzeh unu chayobim v'hidus tamut. For this he must always give thanks to Hashem. Shekisporach is like Cain and Yehovim kavanos ekdesha. Hashem should help us. Exactly, we should understand Rabbi Nachman's holy kavanah on this. The ayin inyan zebi hatera v'yasei v'likim b'siman samach beis. This inyan is more in detail in Torah samach beis. There, Rabbi Nachman says that the tikkun for the sorei parei take the dibur, or the kalke, they spoil the dibur, they take it to the vein at the back of the neck, because they are called achar advarim, the yonik from achar hakdusha. And it says there that the tikkun is tinus. A person fast, it's a tikkun for the dibur. Because achar advarim, the klipa is a yonik from achar hakdusha, back of the kedusha, which means that back of the shemus Hashem Elokim. Now the shemus Hashem Elokim ba'achayim, like the shem Yud Kei Vav Kei ba'achayim, means they go back each time. Yud Kei Vav, Yud Kei Vav Kei, they go to the Ayin Beis, 72. Shem Elokim ba'achayim, Aleph Lamed K, Aleph Lamed K Yud, Aleph Lamed K Yud Mem, then you have the Reish, 200. Together, the 72 of Hashem and the 200 of Elokim, you have the Reish Ayin Beis, 272, which stands for no hunger. That means that the hunger, which means the tinus, the person who fasts, that's the tikkun for the achar hadvarim, for the klipas to a yonik and a chaydik of the kedusha. So the name of a person fasts, the kind of mitzvah of tinus, he's misakin the achar hadvarim, the diburim that are taken by the klipas. With this, he's misakin the dibur that takes it out of the gimel sori pari, out of these klipas, the yonik and a chaydik kedusha. Now, through kindness, a person can be zecher to be misaken his dibur and to speak diburim kedusha. Baruch Hashem. Kutem anan tayrikus samatalat. The Bible says, "Linyan si puri gvarim shel tzadik emes." in reference to the Tikuney Zohar, the words that the tzadik emes speaks. At times he speaks Torah that is very deep. At times he speaks regular Torah. At times he speaks his words in Sipurim, stories. And also says, if a GP, a regular doctor, a general practitioner becomes sick, he's forced to give himself over into the care of a big specialist. And this small doctor wants that the big specialist should give him cures, medicine according to what he understands, according to his knowledge of medicine. Take out, remove his tooth, or to shave him, whatever he feels necessary for this ailment. But the specialist knows cures that are very expensive and very important, very valuable, which he has to give him. The specialist knows better. Kenya's damin. So too it happens that a person who thinks he knows something would come before the Talmud Chacham and tzadik hadeh. He's a specialist, a doctor when it comes to curing the foshes. But this person who tzaddik should give him cures for the nefesh, meaning in the way of Hashem, according to what he knows. The emes tzaddik has cures for the nefesh, ways that are right, in which this person has to conduct himself in order to become cured. The times when a person is sick, they're forced to give him a certain type of medicine. If they give him the medicine alone in its original form, the way it actually is, the medicine itself, without mixing it with anything else, without doubt the sick person would die because the medicine is too strong to take. So the doctor is forced to mix this medicine, to dilute it with something else. So too there are people it's impossible to reveal to them the deep inside of the Torah which he needs for his cure. The Torah itself is a cure for all sickness. The Torah is a cure for your body. In the Torah there are two powers in the Torah, two medicines. Some chayim and some others. With some tem, the Moharan says that there are two samim, two medicines in the Torah. One is the medicine of life, one is the medicine of the other. Zohar nasalai sam chayim. If he's zohar, so the Torah becomes the medicine of life. Why is zohar nasalai sam mogus? If he's not so, it becomes the medicine of the opposite. And therefore, in Yom had Torah the atzma kameshahi. The tzadik would tell him the pnimi is the Torah the way it is. Yom was police suffolk, and he would surely die because it becomes to him the sam of others. Gets shlein zochar nasa sam of others because maybe he wasn't zochar, he is loy zochar now. He needs a cure. See, then he's a loy zochar. Then this will become a sam of others. So this medicine, though it's powerful, but still it cause him death. Therefore, he's forced to dilute these words, to mix this, to be unable to cloak these previous and Torah in different words of Torah. That's how he could digest this medicine. Well, if at times the person is so sick that he can't even take the words of previous and Torah, even if they were cloaked in different words of Torah, because it's still too strong for him. It will still be Yichas Shomas Al Malbis. Okay, Malbishin and Torah Bezipurei Dvorim Chitzon. Therefore, the tzadik emes is Malbish, he cloaks Torah in outside words that don't even appear to be Divrei Torah, outside stories. But in these stories, so the previous night is cloaked, in order that this person should be able to receive the medicine that's hidden within these stories. Because we see that even the Torah itself today is cloaked in Sipulimaitis or stories. We have all the stories in the Torah, and actually these stories are only a cloak. It's a malbush over the previous Torah, the Seidas that are in them. Why are they cloaked today? Because it was impossible to give the Torah over the way it is. It would be too deep for anybody to receive. So it had to be cloaked with Maisius. So too, many times the tzaddik sees this person cannot digest, cannot receive the medicine of the Torah in its original form. So he has to cloak it in either other words of Torah or in Sipuli Maisius. In all cases, the tzaddik emes is the true specialist for the cure of the nefesh, and he knows exactly how to give this medicine in order to cure the person. Baruch Hashem. Menachem brings the posek v'yahavto v'lei'acha kamecha ani Hashem. Plain titles, you should like your lei'acha, your friend, like you do yourself. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Menachem says, Pshat here is, kabel bi ahava, you should receive with ahava, without complaint, with love, kol harois v'hayisudim haboim alecha. All the trouble, the evil that comes upon you, you should receive with ahava. Or you should take that, because it's only right that you should know. Shalafima secha, according to your deeds. After all the trouble and yisudim and sicknesses it seems that you have, still Hashem is still going with racham. You feel that this is din, this is rough, this is harsh. Actually, it's still racham Hashem. Because actually you deserve much, much worse according to your meisim. This is Menumas in this posek. You should have avot towards the acho. There is that in this case. The evil or bad that comes to you, you should like. You find the word zeya also is used for yisudim. Tikuney Zohar brings a knife in the Gemara that says, where Rabbi Nachman Arizal said, when he's recovering Yisudim, he said, Achai Nereyai Boyu. My brothers and my friends come. He called the Yisudim Nereya, friend. So you should have avot to this Rashi Bolacha, Chayno Harois VaYisudim Abon Alacha Chatzvashon, the Kabbalah be avot. You should receive them with avot. Ki Kamlecha, Kamlecha, because the way you are, Kamesh Atohu, Henotim Asecha, according to your meisim, and the process Ani Hashem, Ba'alachnim. Still, I am Hashem Ba'alachnim. Still, despite the fact that it appears to you that this is so bad, take it with avot because I'm still doing with Midas Harachim. I'm still very kind compared to what you deserve. Ani Hashem Ba'alachnim. Baruch Hashem. Kutemanen Teira Kuf Samach Vov. Menachem says, Kishechoyim, when the tzadik, or Yeshloim Sholah. When the Elam come to the tzadik, when they are by the tzadik, then the tzadik has, when Sholah, he has ruling power. Ki Elisha, by Elisha, Navi Pam, Neftab, Olav, Isha, Lekim, or Pam, Elisha, Stam. At times the pasuk says, Elisha, Isha, Lekim, at times it says, just plain Elisha. Everyone understands, all makes sense because it says, Kishechoyim, B'nei HaNaviyim, Etzloi, HaYirik, Isha, Lekim. When the Naviyim were with him, his Talmidim, then he was called Isha, Lekim. Lekim means Malchus, ruling. He was only called this plain Elisha, which shows that when the people, the Talmidim, come to the tzaddik, then he has this Mimsholah, special Mimsholah, that's the ruling power. Baruch Hashem. Menachem Mendel Schneerson, you should know and you should have emunah. That one spends by the Talmud Chacham, the tzadik ha'emes, those shabbosim are as valuable for the person, or as much of a tikkun for the person as a tainus. Just as much as a tainus, fasting, can do for that person, who's slack in his nefesh, so much does this spending the time, the Shabbos by the tzadik ha'emes, do for that person too. Baruch Hashem. Kutemanan Telikuf Samaches. Menachem says, Kishaboli, Yodam Gadlus, when the Gaibu or Gadlus comes to a person, Simon, he should know that the sign, Sheyavali Tzorah Chasashon, the sign that shortly there will come a Tzorah to him. Kamashikosav, as the pasuk says, Lefnei Shevet Goin, before a break, before trouble, there is Goin, there is an elevation of stature, a person becomes great. This the Gemara says, Megillah about Haman, that Hashnedesh Gidol is Haman, because before his Nefila there came this rise. That's the Menachem says, before Gadlus, before a Tzorah comes Gadlus. When a person has Gadlus, shows that a Tzorah coming. Kain Keshehu Shafal, when a person is a Shafal, he's an Onov, Simon Shiyovel Kovet Gadlus. It's a sign that he will come to a great honor, that a lot of Kovet will come to him. Mashikosav, the pasuk says also, Lefnei Kovet Anova, before a person reaches Kovet, for a person that attains a Kovet, Anova, there is first Anivus. If it has Anivus, it's a sign that the Kovet will eventually come to him, because of this Anivus. Baruch Hashem. Kutei Meran Teire Kuf Samach Tes. Menachem brings the posek Doch Yaakov Tishmunas and Shpatam Edel Shmatam Asisim Eisonim. Menachem says, Kshiyesh Tzorah Chas V'Shalom. when there are tzadik, troubles that come, in tzadik bequalius of the fratius, whether the tzadik come bequalius general to a Klal Yisrael, Chas V'Shalom, or fratius to an individual, to one person, and it's difficult, it's impossible then to go to Kudim, to dance. Because when there are dinim tzaris, so these dinim are given over to the messengers for the stint from heaven. These messengers are called rotzen, means runners. They're the carriers of this dinim. These carriers are called raglan, because they run. So therefore they are bechina of raglan. The azai had raglan kevedim, and then correspondingly the raglan of the person are very heavy. Machmas hadomim shnesbashtu lisham, I know hadinim. Their feet are heavy because of the blood that's spread into the feet, that has come into the feet. And this blood is the dinim. Ki domim bechinas dinim. Because domim generally is called bechinas dinim. Domim is always gevura, is red. The lavon is chesed, and edaim red is gevura, dinim. So mainly the dinim were given to the rotzen, to the raglan. That means that the blood went into the feet. The blood goes into the feet. That means that he becomes very heavy and he cannot dance. When the din is born, that means when the din leaves already, it's gone. Then the blood go out of the feet. Then the feet become light again. Because at the time of birth by a woman, the blood leaves the feet of the woman. And therefore feet become cold. The Gemara says that by the Leda, so the Stanin Agleisha. Iker HaLeda, the main Leda, the main birth is because the blood leaves the feet, and that's what brings about the Leda. That the dinim leave the raglan. The dinim are over with, they leave the rotzen. The time of ibur, that means before the Leda, the time of pregnancy, before the birth, that's a bechina of din. The Gemara says, B'shor sha'atam esmali alehem ebra ki isha ubra. Time when Hashem was filled with anger against the Jews, chas v'shalom, like a woman who was pregnant. Then so she'ibur bechinas din. We see that the Gemara compares it to isha ubra, that ibur is a bechina of din. It's anger, tas, judgment against the Jews, chas v'shalom. The Leda, he bechinas am tokas adin. Birth is a bechina of antokas adin. When the din is over, the din is sweetened. Ki oz b'shas Leda yitzin hadonim mehar aglen, shai dezei ikra leidikara. Because then at the time of birth, the blood goes out of the raglayim, which is the ikra of birth. The ayim mizeh b'likutey Tanina base. Alkein b'eis hadin v'had tzorah chas v'sholem yesh lerakid. Therefore, at the time of din and tzorah chas v'sholem, it's impossible then to dance. Ki oz yesh b'ir haraglim, because then it's difficult, impossible to raise the feet. Ki haraglim him kredim b'shas es gabras hadinim, because the feet are heavy at the time when the dinim are at the strongest. Machla shehadonim sheim b'china dinim shochim oz l'sach haraglim kanal. Because the blood, which is a dinim, is drawn into the feet then. Amal kisheyetzin hadomim sheim hadinim meharaglim, but when the domim, which are the dinim, go out of the feet, when there is a Leda, that means dinim are intact, because the haraglim kalam, and the feet are light. The simcha can spread itself into the raglan until he can dance because of simcha. Well, hamtik hadin, in order to mamtik the din, to take away the din, to make the sweeten them, take away the bitterness of the tzoris, person who judges himself. Whatever he does, then by himself he should judge himself. Over everything he does. If it is fit to do as he did. If he should search his actions. He should correct them according to the din laws of the Torah. And the fact that the person judges himself, for this he's mamtik, he makes bottle with din from above, from heaven. Because when there is din below, there is judgment below, the person judges himself below, there is no judgment for him from above, from heaven. Because and then when there is a tokas hadin, then the blood leaves the feet. And because he was mamtik the din through the fact that he judged himself, which took away the din shalmala, which means that the din did not leave. So now the simcha can now spread itself into the feet, so that's why he can now, if he's zechet to dance, he goes to simcha. Now this pshat, the pasuk, the hoya ekev tishmu'un, the hoya loshen simcha. The hoya is a loshen simcha. Because the Zaydik Kodesh says that, the Gemara says that vayehi is loshen sa'ad, suffering, and the hoya loshen simcha. And the Zaydik Kodesh said because the hoya is the esi, is yud kei vav kei, which is loshen simcha. So the hoya loshen simcha ekev heim ha'raglan. Feet, kind of in this case, the simcha ad she'ekev vayim shehem ha'raglan yishmu ha'simcha, to be zechet to simcha to a point where even the feet will hear, will feel the simcha, will be able to dance because of simcha. Zeh and the person will be zechet to this like a day, es ha-mishpatim ha'elu ishmartem ha'sisam ha'ison. Shetishmuru u'las es bi'atzmechem ha'mishpatim v'ha'dinim. You should be zechet to yourselves make these judgments, these dinim, against yourselves. After this, the din from above becomes bottle. You'll be able to feel, to hear, the margish simcha and the raglayim, and the fact that the dinim leave, the male of the simcha goes in. Late Matzosi, I found more on this, further in this pasuk. Shezel bechinas v'shamar Hashem l'cho es habris. You should kiss with simcha. You be zechet to simcha. So be mamtik the din. You be zechet to simcha. Azay Hashem yizborach bi'atzma yish melacho es habris. Hashem yizborach himself will guard the bris that you shouldn't be chas Hashem pegim in the bris. Hashem will help you to guard you against begam habris. Ika begam habris. Why they atzis give do it? Because the main begam habris comes through atzis as is known. Hashem lamed yud. Menachem brings further. Keep going. Bris for you there. Klipa yidu shnekrov. Lamed yud. So Al Shem Shem Yalelas Tomid Chizel Bechinas Atzos. Bris comes to this famous klipa, which is called today because she is generally moaning, and that's an inyan of atzvos. So the Bris comes because of atzvos. Yalkei Geshminas Abris Zechnei Dei Simcha. So the main Shminas Abris, a person is zechet to through simcha. Dei Simcha Zechnei Sheshes. What of the atzma Yazeh by Lishmas Abris Kodesh? Because through simcha, a person is zechet. Hashem himself will help him to guard the Bris Kodesh, to be zechet to complete tikkun Abris through simcha. Baruch Hashem. Likutey Moharan Tevet Kuf Ayin. Ben Yisrael brings the pasuk from Tilum Hashem or Abu Tzorai, Rabbi Kono Alai. And also is called Echad Lefina Shmosai Lefi Avedasai, because each person, according to his neshama, according to his Avedas Hashem, Kach Yesh La Yisudim. So he has Yisudim, troubles. Yesh La Yisudim Libonov Ume'aviv U'Mishachim. The person who has Yisudim has to bear from his children, from his father, from a neighbor, different kinds of Yisudim by being to finance them, to support them, other kinds of troubles that he has. Yesh Shehu B'Madrega Gedel Rimenu. There's one who's in a higher Madrega. Yesh La Yisudim Meshchenim Rechakim. He has Yisudim from distant Shchenim. He has to bear them too. Yesh Godel Mimenu. There's still a greater person of Yesh La Yisudim Mikol Ha'ir. He has Yisudim for the whole city. He's the leader and all the troubles come to him. Yesh Godel Mihai. There's a person who's very great. Yesh La Yisudim Mikol Ha'ir. All the Yisudim in the world come to him. Each one through these Yisudim, they say, Olav HaNoshim Shesh La Yisudim Ehem. So he actually carries upon him the burden of these people from whom he has Yisudim. He carries all these people upon him because he has the Yisudim. Because when he had Yisudim from them, he carries them upon him. And he carries his whole burden upon himself. The Yisudim is the biggest burden. How is it possible for a chaymer, for a guf, a body, a gashmis, of chumriyas, to carry upon itself so many people? Physically, it's impossible. The tendency is that through Yisudim, so his body becomes pressed down, becomes smaller through the pressure. We call Yisudim Nikran Tzoris, because all the Yisudim are called Tzoris, troubles. Because they press in, they confine the body. There's a lot of pressure on it. When the goof is pressed down, smashed down to these tzoros, So this, so the nefesh, the soul becomes greater. There's a greater light to it, and it grows. That's when the chayme, the gashmias, the guf, is pressed down, it becomes subordinate. The lower the guf goes, the greater the neshama, the tzura. Tzura is the form which cannot be seen. That means the nefesh and the neshama. Wood, which cannot be lit by fire, so we beat it. We beat this wood until it can catch fire. So too, meaning that gufot loisalek bein ahayda the neshmasa, a body in which the light of the neshama doesn't take hold, it doesn't light up. How do we make the neshama light up in it? We beat it. In heaven they beat it with yisurim, with tzaris. The tzaris to the guf make the neshama light up. So we see that by lowering the pressure of the guf, the more pressure you put on the guf, and when you press it down, the higher up grows the neshama. The alke nikra tzora lashon tzura. Therefore, tzora has that name because it's a lashon dema l'tzura, to the nefesh and neshama. Kal yedei ha-tzora nichna ha-guf me'ira ha-tzura. So the tzora, so the guf is lowered, and the male of the tzura, the nefesh lights up. Inso shal yedei zeh sheyesh lo yisurim v'tzoros me'ira ha-tzura. The fact that he had yisurim and tzoros, the tzura, the nefesh, is lighter, lights, it gives off an oil, and it grows. I know how nefesh. Nefesh, efshul Allah s'suleh kama v'kama noshin. Nefesh, which is a ruchniistic thing, could carry upon it many people. It's only the gashmiistic guf, which physically cannot carry it, but the nefesh, which is a ruchniis, could carry upon it many other people. Because of the fact that it has this yisurim, which lowers the guf and makes the nefesh grow. This is pshat nepozik Hashem morabu tzoroi, meaning kol mashin is rabim tzoroi. The more I have tzoroi, meaning tzoros, rabim kolim oloi, that there are many who stay upon me, meaning that I bear them, that they're dependent upon me. I have to carry them upon myself. Because of the fact that I have their tzaddis, therefore, this is the tzadik says that through the fact that I carry them, so mainly I carry them, and rabim kolim, I raise them, I elevate them, and I bring them up to their shesh. This is the Tikuney Zohar teaches here. He says that the word tzora would mean enemies, actually. The more enemies I have, so it wouldn't be hard to say, if I have enemies upon me, so I'll make them and bring them to the sheish. It could be said too, of course, that tzaddik is done like haschus, and then he elevates them. He says it's better to say, Taisha, Rav Tzoroi means tzoros sheli. The more tzoros that I have, from these people whom I have to carry upon myself, Mele, the tzaddik carries them to become his talmidim, and that's how he elevates them, raises them, and brings them up to their sheish. Baruch Hashem. Put them in on Torah Klefayin Aleph. Then I'll make the posek in Dunia with Adami Sheni Ad Masafwa, Yakitzu, many of those who are asleep in the earth. That means the Mesim, Yakitzu will arise. Eila Lachai Eilam. Some to eternal life, the Elulach some to eternal disgrace. Menachem says, the fact that there is brought up, there is awakened, is brought into being, this Anuch Seichel in Avedus Hashem, which hadn't been known until now in Avedus Hashem. So this, many of those who were asleep until now will wake up with through this new chachma. But they'll take it different ways. The tzaddikim will take it for eternal life, and the others will take it the other way. Tzaddikim will go with this new chachma. With this seichel, they'll be Eivid Hashem Yisborach. They'll serve Hashem. And the Rishonim will become trapped by it. They will not be able to Hashem through this. This will be the cherpos of the diroin olam. They use the cherpos to embarrass, to shame the people, those who know it. Al shehem yedim mizeh. That is, to shame the rest of the people who don't. Those in Hashem who know it will embarrass those who don't. Al shehem yedim mizeh seichel achodesh v'helam en yedim mizeh. The Shem will say that they're greater than the others because they know about the seichel, and the rest of the people, the Edom, doesn't know about it. Meaning, that they will use the seichel to embarrass and to shame the Edom. They don't use the seichel HaChodesh for the sake of Avodas Hashem, but only to shame and embarrass the world, the people. The fact that they know it. The rest of the people, the Edom, are empty. They haven't got this knowledge. So that's the Elul L'chai Beisel Didayin. They will use it for the sake of embarrassing the world. But the tzadikim will use it L'chai Elul. They use it for the sake of Avodas Hashem, which is eternal life. Baruch Hashem. The Bible says, "Kol ha'chasavenes sheyesh li ha'odam." All the things that a person lacks, ein bonim, or parnasa, or briyas, whether it's children, or livelihood, or health, ha'kol hu mitzad ha'odam atzmai. It's all because of the person himself. He brings it upon himself, these chasavenes. Ki oil Hashem yizborach shechteyeh alav tamid. Because the light of Hashem continually comes down upon him. The light meaning, the light of brachos, where all these things are contained. This is continually pouring down upon him. The person, through his ma'asim, his evil deeds, creates a shade for himself. That the light of Hashem cannot reach him. This shade blocks the light. According to his ma'asim, that's how the satan, the shade, is made. It stops the light from Hashem to reach him. Mainly has this chisoron, this lacking, according to the Ma'aser, through which the satan, the shade, came. The shadow is always caused by a davar gashmi, a material item, a physical item that stands in front of a spiritual item. Not necessarily completely spiritual, it's something that is thinner, that is more spiritual than the thing that blocks itself. For instance, the Geshem, eitz v'eben, material, physical, wood or stone, neged oidachal v'ona v'hachama, is itself. This is placed in front of the light of the moon or the sun, creates a shadow. And the moon or the sun are more spiritual, or more darkest than the wood or stone. Likutey chama u'lavona ayadei tzeil ha'oretz. And so too, the eclipse of the sun or the moon, when the time tells me you cannot see the sun or the moon, it's because they're blocked out through the shadow of the earth that's in front of them. And the earth is more gashmius than the sun or the moon. Even the sun itself also makes a satan, a shadow, blocks out that which is higher than it. That which the sun is considered gashmius against the thing that's above it. And then it makes a shadow against it. Therefore the person, according to the gashmius, according to his deeds that are gashmiistic, that's how he makes a shadow for himself, which stops and blocks the light and the shadow of Hashem. The person will make himself completely bottled, completely non-existent, as though he wasn't any part of this world at all. Then he doesn't make any shadow at all. And because he is not Gashmias anymore, he doesn't make any shadow, he doesn't block the light there, he can receive the light of Hashem and the Shepa. The main light of Hashem is the covet. The main light of Hashem is the covet. Whatever Hashem created, the creation of Hashem is because of covet. And this, shot in the posek, that the earth is filled with the covet Hashem, in whom, like kol ha'oretz, meaning that if he is filled in the entire world, meaning that he doesn't take up any place at all in the world itself, as I mean, that he can receive the light of Hashem, which is covet. If he hasn't got any special place in the world, but he is like kol ha'oretz, then he can receive the light of Hashem, which is the covet of Hashem. But the Chachamim inherit this covenant. They receive this covenant of Hashem. Because Chachma comes from Ayin. And Ayin means where they are nothing. They consider themselves as nothing. They take up no place at all in the world. Therefore, since the Chachamim are Ayin, therefore this Ayin, the Chachamim who are nothing, they can receive this covenant. Because they do not make any shadow in Masik to separate them from the light. Because they have no Gashmis at all. When Hashem shows smile, that means pleasantness, satisfaction, then there is life and good that comes to the world. And the opposite, when Hashem turns Eidif, when it pone like the Eidif, then it's God's Chas Hashem. It's the opposite of Chaim and Teva. Which means that Hashem is Chas Hashem in Kas, the opposite of Pone Sachakis is Kas, and Chas Hashem, the world suffers. The tzadik shows a smile, a face that is smiling, one that is happy. He is pleased, and it's tayv, it's good for the world. And the opposite too, when he shows upon him Kas has shown, then it's the opposite. Then it's shown to be Eino Sati Lefnechem Hayim, es a Chayim, es a tayv, es a Moses Yisrael. Hashem says, I gave Lefnechem, I know Leponim Shelachem, to your face, to the Ponim I gave the Chaim and Tayv and Moses Yisrael. Which means that he gave to the power of the tzadik, the Ponim and the tzadik, he gave this power to deal out either Chaim and Tayv through the Ponim Sachakos, or the opposite. Depending upon the face of the tzaddik, that's what the world gets. His face is Ponim Sachakos, so the world has Chaim and Tayv. Baruch Hashem. Put the Maran Tayv Kafayim Gimel. Then it also says like the Eksav, through the person's handwriting, Yochel HaTzadik HaEmes Lihakir HaNefesh HaPnimius HaNefesh HaLaKosef. The Tzadik Emes has the power to recognize in his handwriting the Nefesh and the Pnimius HaNefesh, the inside, the core of the Nefesh of the person who writes. The Emunah, V'Shodesh HaEmunah Shalai. He can recognize to what extent this person has Emunah and the origin of his Emunah, how deeply this Emunah goes. Yesh Bechinas Shodesh HaEmunah, because there is a Shodesh to the Emunah. Because the moon itself also has a chiyus, an origin of life, and a root to it. Because there is an olam of emunah, the world of emunah itself, and where this emunah is taken. The olam ha'emunah yeshlai gam ken emunah Hashem yisborach. This olam emunah also has emunah Hashem. So bechinas shodesh ha'emunah, shehi bechinas primius ha'emunah, ve'bechinas primius ha'nefesh. This is the bechina of the shodesh of the emunah, the origin of the emunah, this olam ha'emunah, which is the primius of the emunah. The emunah itself a person has with the emunah. The origin of the shodesh is the primius emunah. And this is also the primius ha'nefesh. The primius emunah is the primius ha'nefesh, ki ha'nefesh v'emunah in bechina achas, because nefesh and emunah are one bechina, they're the same. Because of nafshi v'sicha b'layla, my nefesh desires you at night. At night, dafka, chsiv emunah s'cha b'layla. Emunah is an inyan at night. So mainly we see that nefesh is laila and emunah is laila, meaning that both are the same bechina. So the ksav, when a person is writing the tzadik emes, can recognize the nefesh, the pnimius hanefesh, which is also the pnimius of the emunah. The bechinas anechi. This is all the bechina of anechi. The ksav, which shows the nefesh, the pnimius of the nefesh, is called anechi. Shamna Chazal, the Gemara says that anechi is nutrikin, the Rashatevis of ano nafshi kisovis yehovis, that I give my nefesh into my ksav, into the handwriting. A person places his nefesh. A person's nefesh can be seen, can be recognized. The person who writes gives his nefesh into the handwriting, and also the pnimius inside of his nefesh. Kisa the Zohar says ani nutrikin ano nafshi yehovis doshchinto chitzonius. That ani is the letters ano nafshi yehovis. I give my nefesh. That's the chitzonius of the shechina. And onechi ado shchinto pnimius. Onechi is a higher madrega. That's the pnimius hashchina, which of course means emunah, which is the nefesh. Nimtza shehaksav menamezes al bechina is shchinto pnimius. we see that the ksav is Menamid on the Pnimius Ashchina. Ani, which is a low madrega, which hasn't got the ksav, that's the Chitzeni Ashchina. And Onechi, which has the kaf stands for ksav, is for the ksav, that is the Shchina Pnimius, which is the Pnimius HaNefesh. The Chenisa B'Etz Chayim. The Inyan is Slapshis Eilamis, the cloaking of the Eilamis. Keser, he Pnimius HaNefesh. The Keser is the Pnimius HaNefesh. The Midah of Keser is the inside of the Nefesh. The Achaf of Bechina of Keser, Kamaliyah. The letter Chaf is the Bechina of Keser. Ki Ashchina is Bechina of Nefesh Ki Yidua. Because the Shchina is the Bechina of Nefesh. Then maybe we said that the Chaf of Onochi, which is Keser, that Chaf stands for Shchinta Pnimius. And that Shchinta Pnimius is the Nefesh, which means the Pnimius of the Nefesh. Nimsa Shai. The Haksav, Shu Bechina is Chaf. The Ksav, which is the Bechina of the Chaf in the word Onochi. There's Gala Venida Bechina is Pnimius HaNefesh, Pnimius HaMunei Kanal. So this Chaf, this Ksav, there is revealed, and there is seen the Pnimius HaNefesh, the Pnimius HaMunei. That's in the Ksav. The speech that a person speaks with the tzadik emes is in a higher madrega than the ksav. And there the tzadik emes can derive more than the ksav. Ki ksav einaydak piulas hanefesh. The ksav is only the work of the nefesh, not the action of the nefesh. From the action of the nefesh, the tzadik can understand the type of the nefesh. But the speech, the dibur, is the nefesh itself. That in speech, the nefesh itself comes out. So the dibur is the nefesh, not just the action of the nefesh, but that's the nefesh actually. Even though the dibur is something that's intangible, can't be touched, it can't be seen, because of the fact that he is a tzadik emes, the dibur is the type of the nefesh itself. Okay, because he decided again, he has the power to see, to recognize in this dibur, though it's even namish, he can recognize in the dibur and see the type of the nefesh itself. So that's even a higher madrega than the ksav. Baruch Hashem. Kutei Maran Teire Kufayin Dalet. Arizal says, Kishahadinin Chas V'Sholem Geiverim Al Ha'adam. When they dinim are very strong, Chas V'Sholem, they're sent out against the person. The person, let's say, is sick because of the dinim. They come upon him. Ainli HaMispal Avudai Lehaski Shmai. So the person who's being mispal for him should not mention his name. Shlayos Gabno Hadinu Chas V'Sholem. One of the dinim should become even still stronger because once he mentions his name, so the Mikatrigim in heaven, those who are the Yotzim, those who carry the dinim, know him better, and they can enforce these dinim against the Chas V'Sholem. Therefore, when they daven for him, they should not mention his name. Just say stam. The Committee Isa is brought in the Lady Kodesh, Noach, like Koreloi Oviv Shem, the Eisley Dosoi. Noach, when he was born, his father didn't call him a name at the time of his birth. Vishum Shehoya Oz Ha'elam Dinim, because at that time the world was in dinim. The world was evil and male, they were dinim against the world. The Alkim Leirotza Oviv Litin Le Shem. Therefore, his father didn't want to give him a name. Because through the name he'll become recognized and known among the Mikatregen, those who carry the dinim. Yuchlu Hadinim L'Skaber Elav, and the dinim will be able to L'Skaber against him. Therefore, his father didn't want to give him a name, so he wouldn't even be known among the Mikatregen. That's what the Lady Kodesh says too. Posek V'Yizker V'Kimis Noach, Hashem remembered Noach after the Mabul. V'Yizker. Yizker Lashon Haskara, he mentioned the word Noach. Achrei HaMabul means after the dinim. Achrei HaDinim, after the moreover, that Hashem mentioned Noach. But therefore we find that there was no mention made of Noach, the name, during the time of the dinim. After the dinim were over, then he first gave him this name. So his father didn't call him a name at the time of his birth, because there was dinim then, only afterwards. This Arizal says is the fact that when Moshe Rabbeinu was a spal for Miriam, when she had this tzadas, like his Shmuel, he did not mention her name. Like Omar Stam, he just said plain without mentioning her name, Kael no the Fon Allah. Hashem, please cure her without mentioning her name. Because the dinim were so strong against her at the time, he didn't want to mention her name openly then. The Afal became, despite this, he hid her name with a usual marvelous emes in this tefillah, in these words, her name was mentioned the way it should be for a chayla. Ki norefo, the words norefo, which he said in his tefillah, the Gematria Miriam Yechevet Mechuvan Mamish. The Gematria exactly Miriam Yechevet. Hainu Shem HaChayla V'Shem Imo Shetzorach Lehaskia Ala Chalak Shel Espal Molof. The name of the sick person, the name of the mother who you have to mention when you respond for a chayla. So you have, Moshe mentioned, had not mentioned but hidden in his words were the name of the chayla Miriam and the name of the mother Yechevet. In the words, came on the phone because not a phone, Gematria, those two names. He didn't want to mention the Fedish name. He also the fact that the didn't want to specify he wouldn't mention the name. Still, he hid in those words the exact names of the Chela and the mother.